do it.
It's live.
It's live. We're live. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Bertie.
Good morning, Debbie. How are you today?
I'm very well. It's good. It's Friday. The sun is shining. What could be better? My intention for today is visibility. So yeah, I'm starting the day being very visible. So that's fantastic.
Fantastic. That's not my stomach. That's the dog, by the way, just groaning. You can hear it.
Thank you for letting us know. So we were going to talk about visions today for your business in 10 minutes. So for those of you who are watching or watching in the replay, Bertie and I are going to do this every Friday morning, 10 at 10. We want you to post up questions on all our various social media channels, and we will answer them in these 10 minutes. But visioning. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is I've just worked with a new client who came to me because he was kind of stuck, really. He had vague ideas of where he wanted his business to go, and he'd been kind of stuck in the mud for maybe a year, 2 years with these plans and these ideas, but not able to take it forward and feeling quite frustrated and stuck, which I think quite a lot of businesses can feel like, can't they? Where am I going with this?
Yeah.
What's the end goal? So we talked about this idea of creating a vision and sort of future planning and pushing yourself 5 years into the future and really dreaming about what it could be like. Because I'm a big believer that we can, we're creating our own businesses, aren't we, Bertie?
Absolutely. Yeah. Completely.
And they can be anything that we want them to be. I truly believe that. So we have the power to create them in any way we want. And I think sometimes that gives you freedom, doesn't it? But sometimes that's terrifying.
It is. I think, though, if your vision doesn't scare you a little bit, if it doesn't give you those butterflies, it's probably not that big. Yeah. So I think you need to be a little bit fearful of something. All of the best things are a little bit scary, aren't they? When you invest in something big, or when you're queuing for that roller coaster, you have that anticipation there. Yeah. And I think it's the same for business. If you can't, if you don't write that vision down and stick it on your vision board or wall or whiteboard, whatever, and if it doesn't frighten you a little bit, then it probably isn't big enough. So I think it's really important to have that big visions, thinking big, something to really shoot for. I think it just gives you that drive, and talk about it, which is what we were talking about last week. Just share that vision around. Really, you've really got something then to shoot for. We've got a couple of people that have joined us anyway this morning. I don't understand the team working, but yeah, we've got Daniel White. Morning, been a long time. Yes, it has indeed. Steve Edwards. Yes, Steve again from last week. So yeah, we'll try not to keep you too long, Steve, today. 10 minutes is what we're going for. Maybe 12.
10 minutes. Yeah, I love that fact of creating a vision that's going to scare you a little bit, because you're right. If you're creating something and it's in the confines of what feels comfortable, you're not really stretching yourself. And if you're not stretching yourself, there's not really any growth, is there? And while that you might feel comfortable in that place, actually, if you can build your business, it can be anything. Why build it in a really small, comfortable place? So yeah, the more uncomfortable you feel and the more you get the butterflies, like you said, waiting for that roller coaster, the more you know that you're onto something. If you emotionally feel something when you're creating that vision and it excites you and scares you, then you're making the right steps. And my suggestion to him in this visioning was to imagine himself in a day in 5 years' time. So a really kind of specific point, and then write about what was happening around him, the people that he worked with, the difference that he made, the clients he worked with, the building that they were in, how did it feel? What were they doing? And I think that just kind of picking a day 5 years in the future and thinking, well, what could it look like? Who do I work with? Where is it situated? He came back and he was like, I've got two sides to my business and I've got a big team and we're like in a kind of an old farmhouse or something, and we're doing all this inspiring work on this side, and we've got products on this side, and I'm doing this stuff, and I've done a TED talk, and it all came rolling out. And I think because he gave himself that permission to just stick himself 5 years ahead, he could see what it would look like, and he could like visually see it. And I think once we've done that, once we've taken that step, then we can start going backwards. Okay, well, what do we need to do in year 4 to get there? Okay, so what would we need to do in year 3, in year 2, in year 1, and then actually start breaking it down? Because that's the thing, isn't it? The vision is great, but then what are you going to do with it after that point?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that, it's like the BHAG, isn't it? The big, hairy, audacious goal, right? It's that
BHAG.
BHAG. Part of like OKRs, and we'll talk about that in a minute because we've only got 5 minutes left. But yeah, having that big, hairy, audacious goal, that's your BHAG, right? Yeah, and it's just having the thing that's just it's so big and it's so scary, but it's there in the future, and it helps teams align with visions and all that other sort of stuff. So yeah, I think all depends. Like when we're talking this morning about vision, like, is it in the context of, big companies, or is it individuals? Is it people having vision boards? Because all of this stuff ties into the same thing. And I think you raised a really good point there. Like if you can visualize it, like at least see yourself, like if you want to buy a yacht, if you're saying I want a yacht, then just imagine yourself being on that yacht. What's it feel like? You can feel the sun on your face. You're on a sun lounger. You've got like, all of the ocean beach women around you, that kind of
all the women.
I don't know who I'm talking to here. It's that, it's whatever, it's your personal vision, so don't be ashamed of it. I wasn't saying that was my vision, by the way. I was just giving it
a good vision though. I'm there.
Yachts, that's it. Maybe a little bit, but yeah, that's the sort of thing, like you have to imagine it. And I think people sometimes don't imagine it because they're scared of failure. Now, I've just recently recorded a video on this. I don't think I've shared it yet. Anyway, so there's a fear of failure video coming up. And I talk about this a lot. Like it is that fear that can just stop you. It's like, oh, well, I'm never going to get that. I don't know why I bother. And all that self-doubting talk. And we all do it. That like I did it last week. I started this live last week, and when those things stay with you, and I was like, yes, ask the experts, and then said something like, in the loosest sense of the word, then thought, actually, like I've just degraded our knowledge just in as a joke. Well, I was thinking more for me than you, but like we all do it. We still talk sometimes can actually hold us back. So yeah, you do have to think big in that regard, and then it just makes it easier to shoot for. So we've got a couple more comments anyway. You can't see them, can you, Debbie?
I can't, but you can read them out. Go for it.
So we've got morning guys. Oh, look at this. I can put them on the screen. Morning guys. The comfort zone is comfortable, but nothing ever grows there. You are absolutely right, Mish.
Yeah. Mish.
Yeah, Mish.
Yeah, that's so super true, isn't it? And I think it, like, I talk about the lions and the tigers and the bears a lot, but I think it's that, isn't it? It's our kind of primitive brain that's like, don't jump out of the bush, don't be visible, stay hidden, because you literally might get your head bitten off by a velociraptor or a bear. But there are no bears out there anymore. So yeah, take risks, like Daniel said. Sift through the lows, ignore the naysayers. Yeah, unless it's HMRC. That idea of persisting through the lows as well. Like, we have such a fear of failure, like you said that you're talking about with your live. Conversely, we also have a fear of success, but let's talk about that another time. But failure is just another learning point, isn't it? It's just another point where we can go, oh, what happened? What went wrong? How can I go back? How can I change it? And if we didn't know what failure felt like, how would we know what success felt like? They're part of the same coin, aren't they? You need both to feel the success. So yeah, make those big stretch visions, put yourself forward, and if you do want the yacht, have it as your screensaver on your laptop. I wanted to go to New York for years and I could never imagine going to New York. And it was my screensaver on my laptop, a particular bar that I wanted to visit in New York, and I went. So, use these images. Our brain loves images, doesn't it? Like, put them everywhere. Put yourself out there. Is there any more questions as we get to the last seconds, Bertie?
Yeah, so we're coming up to our 10 minutes now. We've done all right so far. So I think, yeah. I mean, I'm just interested in whether people actually have those visions. Is this something that people think, oh, yeah, maybe this is for someone else, or maybe it's just a bit sort of out there or hippie or that kind of thing?
Here's the thing I wanted to say about that. People in sports use visioning all the time. The Phelps guy, the swimmer, I was listening to a podcast about him. The first time he did his Olympics, he crashed and burned and won nothing. And you'd say, oh, well, he's such a good swimmer, blah, blah, blah. What they did then is they worked on his mindset and they got him visioning. And didn't he win like 9 medals or something insane? Like, this stuff works. It works in sport. It works in business. It's not out there and woo-woo. We've got to kind of embrace this idea that our minds are super powerful. So yeah, just be like Michael Phelps.
Exactly.
Get 9 golds or whatever it was.
And Steve, just be like Steve as well. Steve's got a vision board on the back of his office door. Or I don't know, I assume on his office door somewhere.
I love it.
Excellent.
Well, that was it then.
That was it. That was our 10 at 10. That was our 11 minutes 6 seconds at 10 a.m. So yeah, it would be great if you can join us next week. If you're watching on the replay, thank you very much for joining us. And if you've got any questions at all, hit them in the comments, and we will answer them next week.
We'll be back.
Fantastic. Take care, everybody. Bye.